a negative word about them. Now, we laugh at that a lot of the time because it is just completely and utterly devotional drivel. But you wish that some Celtic players would be at least a bit positive about the club. But generally, it doesn't seem to be that way.
This was a point I was going to make. Chris Boud interrupting the podcast out of nowhere. Or KO, maybe. I don't know. Cut that in, Chris. Do some magic. I think once upon a time, if you were a Celtic, former Celtic player or associated with the club and you wanted to be a commentator on the Scottish media, you had to be negative about the club. That's the only way you'd get a job. Mm-hmm. I would hope that that's not the case now, and I don't think it is. But yet we continually see that pattern emerge with players. And as you say, with certain players, it may be that they aren't actually journalistically talented, so they just read what's already there and repeat, or it's to be controversial because that's how they're going to get their stories published, or that's what their ghostwriter's telling them to write and say.
Yep.
But I think it is quite shocking that you still have this situation where commentators from the blue side of Glasgow are very positive about their club, and if you are a Celtic player or ex-player, you essentially have to have a negative spin on it. So what's going on there, DJ?
Don't know about. It's something we could talk about for quite a while. But you know what? We're going to move on because it does get you down a bit. Louis, you watched the sports scene last night. What are your kind of thoughts? Who impressed you? I'll give you some of the results.
You just interrupted Louis eating a biscuit there.
I did interrupt him eating a biscuit. Sorry.
You're just talking about eating biscuits as well. Just when you're talking about John Hartson, he ate chips and had pints and it was still great. We talked about this at the time. If John Hartson A, didn't have his injury issues, but B, was fit and had a good diet and exercised properly, he never would have been at Celtic because he would have been one of the best strikers in Europe. He didn't. He ate the pies and we got a great striker out of it.
But he also, his presence broke up potentially one of the greatest strike partnerships in Europe. The fact is, we used to accommodate Chris Sutton in midfield to play Hartson up front because he was too expensive to sit on the bench. That's always stuck in my craw.
A little bit, me too.
Yeah. I just thought, and I know Sutton had his injury problems as well, and he wasn't always fit. But at times, when you played the three of them, Sutton was in midfield, and you're thinking he should be up front now.
And he dropped Lambert at times for that as well. They dropped one of the best midfielders around. Anyway, Louis, you watched.
Talking about pies, right? See if John. Anyway, move on.
Hilarious. What impressed you? Sports scene you watched yesterday? Any sort of games that impressed you?
Can you run through the results again?
I'll run through the results.
Refresh my memory.
Dundee United beat Partick Thistle 1-0.
Did you turn off after the Celtic game?
It was at the end. So Dundee United beat Partick Thistle 1-0. Dundee beat Motherwell 3-1. Kelly beat St Johnstone 2-1, and Inverness beat St Mirren. Hamilton also smashed Aberdeen 3-0. Playing really attractive football, and
I think that the Hamilton game obviously being on Friday night, I feel as if every week you're just waiting for the wheels to come off, but it's not, to their credit. And I've also mentioned this before on the podcast. I was at that New Douglas Park for a work thing not so long ago, and I was speaking to one of the guys who was part of the kind of catering team, obviously like a manager there who was sorting out the function that I was at. But I was talking to him, and this was right at the beginning of the season, just a few games in, and I was talking to him about how they were getting on, and obviously I was saying how they've been really good and been really impressed with them, and he was saying how much work the players had put in over the summer. Like, they pretty much didn't have a lot of time off because they'd been brought in during the summer to do extra training to try and get themselves up to a certain standard before the league kicked off. So they chose to make that kind of sacrifice in order to prepare themselves better for the top league, and it's definitely paying off. And they're playing really nice football at times as well, which is great to see, the fact that that's been rewarded. And fair enough, we will hopefully win the league, and we should win the league. But at the same time, I'd like to see Hamilton continue their form and do really well and finish. People, I know they were talking on Sports Scene last night about them finishing the top 6. I think they should aim to be as close to Celtic at the top of the league as they can. Why not try and keep that run going?
They absolutely should, but I'm just shocked that you're suggesting that a team can work really hard, get their fitness up, and that will somehow improve their performance. We all know from the former Celtic players in the media that it's nothing to do with anything. So,
well, that's it. Boud, I've seen I've seen the menu at Hamilton Accies, and there's no chips or pies.
Chris Sermanni, Dundee United, a point behind Hamilton, 3 points ahead of us. If we win our game 2 points ahead of us if we win our game in hand. Will they keep going to the end of the season, do you think? It's another decent victory for them at the weekend.
Yeah, I think in terms of pushing on, I think Hamilton have made a great start, but I'm getting the impression that Dundee United will end up being closest to us. Hamilton, one each. Great goal from Fellaini there. I think Dundee United, they've lost a few players over the summer, but they've kind of adapted. They've got some great young players coming through, and they're able to plug the gaps. McNamara's got them. I think I've said this a few times in the podcast. He's got them playing some nice stuff. Every now and again, they kind of capitulate, like when we done them in. Do you know what I think? Know what you mean? But they don't seem to. That doesn't seem to keep them down. They do seem to kind of keep plugging away, and they, for me, are probably the best bets to keep the consistency going over the season. But just to talk about Hamilton, you really need to credit them. It's a breath of fresh air seeing a team coming in doing so well, but not only doing well, playing nice stuff. It's not like it's all backs to the wall stuff.
Yeah.
Even when they were at Celtic Park, okay, they were defending for large periods of the game, but some of their counter-attacking stuff was quite sophisticated. And even against Aberdeen, don't get me wrong, Aberdeen had their chances. They rode the luck a wee bit like they did against us, but they make their own luck. That's a wee cliche for you. They make their own luck, but some of their attacking play really, it deserves what the breaks that they get, and same as Loyal, but continues.
Yeah, I mean, looking at obviously Motherwell, we watched those highlights, and Motherwell were absolutely dreadful. But
Long may that continue.
Yeah, long may that continue. Stuart McCall, he's under a lot of pressure. At what point does McInnes become under pressure? Because Dundee, we looked at myself and Boud. We were looking at the highlights yesterday, and that Aberdeen team, there's quality in terms of the SPL. There's quality all over the place. It's probably the best starting 11 outside of Celtic, and they're doing dreadfully. When does McInnes start to be questioned in terms of his anybody?
I don't think he will be questioned as much of kind of his job being threatened. I think he'll have that job at Aberdeen for kind of as long as he wants it in the way that they're going, because I still think over the season they're going to be top 3, fighting it with Dundee United to get second place. Because, as you say, the quality that they have, the progress that they've made under him has been brilliant. He's done a lot of things right since he came in. Some of the signings that he's had, and obviously winning the cup as well. But just to go back to what you started with there about Stuart McCall kind of being under pressure, I really think that's just. It's sad. It's sad to see, I think, because that man.
Excuse me.
I know. Right? Okay, he's not a kind of favourite with Celtic fans, obviously, but I think that guy's what he's done at Motherwell over the years, when he's had absolutely nothing to work with. He's not had any money, and season after season, he's had pretty much his team ripped away. He's had to start again, and he consistently rebuilt teams and done well. Fair enough, this season it's not worked well for them, and they're having a kind of difficult time. But I still think that guy has done a very, very good job considering the resources he's had, and he has to be given time. Managers have to be given time to work through things like this.
Louis, what year is it?
2014.
Right. Why has he got a mullet? Right. I mean, the guy has been rocking a mullet no matter the fact that the 80s were a long time ago.
A strawberry blonde mullet.
Strawberry blonde mullet.
You make a very good point.
The guy. See, if I'd been in charge of that club when I'd said, right, you've done really well at the job interview here, Stuart, but get yourself to a barber and get that sorted out. The job is dependent on you getting a haircut. Now, that's reason alone to absolutely lambast the guy. So what you've just said, I'd like you to take it back, start again.
First of all, Chris, I just want to pick you up on the thing you started with there. I think his judgment is clearly off with the fact he has a mullet. And I think it's leaking into his performances to big teams.
Okay. Just looking at looking at how well the Kilmarnock, they're doing pretty well as well.
Name a team in the SPFL, is it?
No, Kilmarnock won't do well for the rest of the season. Don't worry about that. They're awful. But McInnes, getting back to him, you're absolutely right. He should get time. He's done very similar to McCall.
Sensible haircut.
He's got a sensible haircut. He's a good manager. We know that. He's done a good job with Aberdeen. He's turned them around. And at this point, he's only 2 rounds of matches away from being second or third anyway.
Where did they finish last season? They finished third last season.
So they did. Last minute goal from Motherwell.
And
from Stuart McCall.
And who was second?
Motherwell.
With a mullet. My point is valid, right? My point is valid.
And what I'll say is, I think you're overstating what McInnes has done. He won the League Cup, right? Which, well, don't get me wrong, League Cup, it's a trophy, fair enough. But with the squad he's got and how poorly they're playing just now, you're saying they'll finish third because the quality will shine through. I don't know if it will. I like McInnes. I think he's a good manager. But if a guy like...
Hold on. Surely if you're going to say that, then the same applies to Celtic. Then you think
Ronnie Dyler's been in the job for 3 months. McInnes has had the job for 2 years.
I know, but you've just said that McInnes has done well up to now. Now the wheels are falling off. He should go.
No. What I'm saying is he should be questioned. My point is the Scottish media are in no way putting any pressure on McInnes the way they would do with other managers. I'm not saying McInnes doesn't deserve time to change it. All I'm saying is it's again another. Is it because he's an ex-Rangers player? Maybe. My point is there's a bias towards certain managers and certain people in this league, in this country, and that's what frustrates me.
I think McInnes is going to get, and rightly so, especially from Aberdeen fans, he's going to get a lot of leeway because he won the League Cup. Now, I think it's dead easy to forget, because we're so used to success and winning trophies, how much that meant to Aberdeen fans. When I worked with an Aberdeen fan, and he, was absolutely ecstatic about that. We take success for granted. The fact that they got that trophy win after such a long barren spell means a huge amount to them. So they're willing to stick with a guy even just now if it's looking a wee bit shaky. But I definitely agree with you, Chris, in terms of what the team that they can put out. They should be doing better, same as us. I think obviously the main copy is always going to be Celtic, so the focus is going to be on Dyler, and it'll allow McInnes to go under the radar a wee bit. But as Boud says, I do think he's a good manager, and I think over the course of the season, you're probably going to put money on the top 3 being Celtic, Dundee United and Aberdeen, not Motherwell.
Or Mulletwell.
Mulletwell, yes.
And Hamilton Accies as well, as you said, they have been playing fantastic football, which has looked amazing. I think they've probably been the most consistently entertaining side this season. But can they keep that up for the rest of the year? Chris Gallagher just pointed out the top 3 goal scorers in the league are all Hamilton players.
Is that right? Huh?
Yeah, it's,
they are top of the league. So.
But they've all got 5 goals each. So between them, they've scored 15 goals. And Crawford's a midfielder. He's been playing absolutely terrifically. But yeah, I mean, it's good. We all obviously. It's great to see Hamilton. It's great to see someone else doing something interesting.
Yeah, but I want them to start losing because I've got a Hamilton fan in work called Barry who's just not letting up.
Called Barry?
A break, Barry. All right.
The Aberdeen fan of my work's called Barry. You get a break and all, Barry.
Can we cam it with the Barrys?